Hey, hey,
Hey, Robert.
great news. I did my network services dev environment last night all by myself.
Great work, man.
And I only had to I got managed identity working for the Cosmos DB on this deployment.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and it appears that Redis is working as well, but I have one little log that says it keeps failing back to Cosmos. I just got to take a look at.
Okay.
But
Very
it went
cool.
it went really well. I was very happy.
Very cool. He's actually testing out that multi-user branch.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So they have a use case, and we're going to show everybody that's hopping on here. We're going to also showcase some things that are in this development branch, some forward-looking features and stuff like that. Workflows and long-running tasks and stuff like that. Exhaustive review of documents, as well as document comparisons and stuff like that. So we have a bunch of cool stuff on the horizon, as well as some bug fixes coming out next week and mobile support. Anybody that's using phone or have attempted to use Simple Chat on a phone, there will be a better experience there. And Nathaniel's going to showcase that when we get to it. Hey, Andrew, I don't know if you want to kick us off.
No, thanks, Paul. No, nothing new for me. I know you guys have a lot to cover, so we want to jump right into it. Appreciate the team. I know we've had a couple one-off calls with some customers, and I appreciate you guys jumping in here. So excited to kind of go through some of the latest and greatest. So good to go. Thanks, Paul.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew.
Yep.
We're good. Awesome. Okay, everyone. So just before at the beginning here, the next call is June 11th. Every 6 weeks, we're going to stick with that still. It feels like we just had one. I was like, man, that was a fast 6 weeks. We've done I had a lot of great discussions and talks, and everybody's staying in touch. Getting emails and notifications from the community on ideas and features and bugs and stuff like that. So keep doing that. I enjoy it. I know the team. It helps all of us. So please keep communicating. Well, I'm going to just show a little timeline here. So just a few weeks ago, we released all that stuff on the left-hand side. We're going to go through a lot of those features today. The 8th, we have fixes mobile support on the maybe not the 22nd. All those, some of this is going to get shifted because we consolidate a lot of stuff. But all that stuff right there on May 22nd, a lot of that is in. There's a multi-user branch. If you have a development environment and you want to test out some of the things we want to show later today, deploy the multi-user branch. And the easiest way to do that is switch your branch in VS Code or whatever. So it's on that branch, and I'll show it, and then just do an AZD deploy. That's going to go through and make the deployments. Also, with the April 7th release, we updated how we deploy Simple Chat. So fixes and stuff like that, speeding up. You don't need Docker local anymore. You can just, it uses ACR, the container registry, to build your image. So AZD up will deploy everything. AZD deploy will then just update your application. So we have a lot of that information in there, but if you're going through any of that and you have any issues, it did cover a few logical things, maybe some prerequisites that'll be good to have. It's not defined in there. You need Python installed. So install Python to use AZD up. Okay, so we're just jump into the application and cover some of the things that we just released there that we showed on this list here. So thoughts. So I'm going to bring up, not all these I'm going to run in real time. We're just going to go back and look at some stuff in here. You're going to see some icons. This is also the future branch. So you're going to see some stuff in here that wasn't released because I'm running them side by side here. But let's look at, let's see if this one has it. Yeah, so this have the thoughts. There we go. So when you enable thoughts, let me duplicate this. So we're going to look at the settings. So there's two parts here. You also see this latest features on the left-hand side, which is really cool. Let's jump into the admin settings because a lot of you are admins too. So if you go into admin settings a lot, it's probably annoying you. We put latest features at the top. If you don't go in a lot, though, it was intentional to make sure you see that this exists and to help understand these are the newest things. So maybe we can do something to help mitigate that in the next release, so you can just skip that if you want. But everything you need to know about, all the latest features are in this latest release. And you're going to see this new thing at the top. Yours in your deployed is probably gray and it says unregistered. When you click this, all it's going to do is help inform us that there's something there and that you want to be informed of features and releases and like that. I'm trying to manage the line between newsletters and just informing everyone. The community call is great, but I'm trying to put together some mechanism when we release something. That was back in the 7th. I don't know how many people knew that it was released. You get an update here in the admin setting at the top, but that was the only notification really. So we're trying to just figure out ways to improve informing everyone. All right, so let's see, AI models. Yeah, so under AI models, there's this new processing thoughts. Like everything we do, you have to enable it. There's not many things that are turned on by default. The tabular processing is turned on by default when you enable enhanced citations. But so you turn this on. And then when you do that, you get informed the history, you get all these great thoughts of what's going on, and it's telling you what's happening. I'm going to just do another question here. Let's just pick something. Okay. There we go. So you see this blue box. Now it's going through and letting us know what's going on. First, one of the things it does is it's looking back at the history of the conversation too for other documents, other citations and stuff too. And then it's also grabbing the conversation. So one thing we've tried to do is improve citation and grounding of information, not just using the context in the message, but trying to pull documents that were related or used in the conversation too to help answer it. So you don't have to go in. The goal right now, you had to come in and every time you were asking a question around your documents, you had to select the workspace. But now, because we also look at citations of previous messages, you do not have to select the workspace every single time. If the citations exist, if some of the workflows like tabular analysis don't show up in the same way for citations because it's this big, you're using one document. But if you have citations, it'll collect those citations and help answer that for you. So you can see it's going through. It's going to just pick, and this can take a look. I shouldn't have probably picked GPT 5.4 at the highest reasoning level. It's going to take a little bit, but that's thoughts.
You want to use that to demo the disconnect and reconnect on the conversation?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. And this here, we also now reconnect conversations so we can leave. We're going to look at personal workspace, then we're going to come back to chat. Which one was that?
Good question. You'll get a notification.
Yeah.
Finish it eventually.
Yeah.
So we could use this to demo the notifications too.
There it goes. See, I found the right one. I came back in. It reconnected to my existing conversation. So it was already running. We left. We came back, and it's still processing and running through things. And it's going to let us know we have this tied into our notifications. If you're not looking at it directly, it's going to let you know that there was an update. So you can come in here. Just Mark, read all those. All right, so looking back at latest features, performance improvements. Also, if you're running this natively with Python, you want to make sure to follow this and add this command in your stack settings. This is going to dramatically improve performance. Like dramatically, it will help. We added some new G-unicorn processing, so it's going to help clean up stale threads and a whole bunch of stuff, multi-threading and stuff like that. You will see a big performance improvement here, especially when it comes to background and multi-threading and these conversations that are running at scale.
If you're using containerization, it's already included, so you don't have anything to do.
Yeah, good one. Guided tours. So now we have guided tours for chat and workspace. I'm going to turn that on. So over in your profile, we've always had this great information, stuff like that. We keep adding a little bit more customization for users so you can turn on the tutorial. And what that means is when you come back to chat for users, when they first join or log into Simple Chat that's on by default, you'll get this thing in the top right corner, and it'll walk them through everything they could use in here, like how do I do this? What's this do? What's this do? And it'll take them through all of the buttons, all of the things. And if you go over to the workspace, it exists in personal workspace as well. It'll walk them through what is going on in the personal workspace. If you have any questions or thoughts on any of this stuff, please make you share it with us. I know UI and these experiences can always be improved. We're trying to attempt to think about all the things that a customer, one of your users needs. But there's always those edge cases and the big ones or even major ones that we have missed.
Looks like you got a notification about the conversation.
Oh, there we go. See the conversation, we got the one, that notification's done, the conversation's complete. We click on it, it actually takes us to the conversation. I should have beefed up my app service before. All right, and so we're just gonna let that go. We're gonna look at that's guided tutorials, background chat completion. We just talked about GPT selection. So we'll look at that real quick. What this is, and we can click show details. And the nice thing is there's links in here. So you're in here, you don't have to go find it. You can just click on it. It'll take you over there. It brings us this multi-GPT endpoint, so you can add multiple endpoints. And you can give your endpoints names, so you can rename them or descriptions. So what that means is when you hover over it, then the user will have a description. And this is a great way now. A lot of us probably use the OpenAPI or OpenAI version of our endpoints and models. You can also deploy Foundry endpoints now. That means you can use some of the models like Llama models, Grok. We don't have Claude support
yet.
It's on the queue. Once we get through that, we'll add Claude in. But we didn't want to add Claude just due to the the administration's declaration a few weeks ago there. So the multi-GPT endpoint, it just really is going to give users, a lot of capability. Hint, we're adding governance and stuff in the future. Not when we say in the future, it's not a year from now, but we're going to be adding more governance and capabilities here around this, so you can assign endpoints and models to users. So you can say, Jonathan Rundy can use, GPT 5.4 Pro, but Joshua Wilshire can only use GPT 4.0. Sorry, Josh. You get to control that. All right, so we go back, and here we go. It went through that taxpayer, it responded, and here, this is just gave me more information. It went through and processed all that extra data. You can see we're not, this was using GPT 5.4 Pro at the high end, so it went through and provided a lot of data.
So the output of what are they up there?
Yeah, and now all these things it ran. So it's using this new tabular processing. It's counting rows, it's grabbing data, and it'll keep iterating until it solves that answer. And then you can look at your thoughts as well and see everything that it did, how long it took. We're also adding facts. This is something else we added in. And now facts and stuff like that are part of the core if you enable it. So you don't have to have an agent. And facts.
So the profile fact editing?
Yeah, we're going to go back to the profile. We showed, tutorial, but now we have memories, facts, things about you, but also things you don't like mine.
M dashes.
Do not use M dashes. That's an instruction. So you get to add those in there. Things that that are helpful for you. Other things are facts, and these are like about me. You can ask them to save it in the conversation, and it'll actually generate these for you. Or you can come in here and add new ones on your own. So look back to latest features. That's GPT endpoint. Citation improvement, we kind of walked through that. Document versioning. Document versioning has been improved as well. What that means is, let's see if we have any here. So this is version 2. If you upload another one, let's not show too much of that one. Let's see, the community call. That one's not 2, but
that's 1.
Yeah, that one was 1. Let's find out one that's a 2 here. Do I have any? Anyway, what the 2 is the second version. And if you upload the same document, the same name, it could be different inside. It's going to version it, but it's going to carry over any tags that you have assigned it or classifications. So if you have document classifications, it'll carry those over as well. And we'll be showing something a little bit down the road here too about comparison. So then you can compare version 1 to 2. What were the differences? It'll go through exhaustively and compare them. And we're going to show exhaustive analysis today because that's coming down the pipe. So so versioning is a big improvement, and that's laying the groundwork for something else that's coming called file sync. So we're going to be adding in the ability to do syncs with SMB and NFS shares, and that's going to help manage that. So right now, it's a very intentional thing to get your documents into your workspaces. You know, maybe by this next community call, we'll be able to showcase what file sync is going to do and how you can assign tags and all that kind of stuff. Can you briefly explain what you mean by tabular processing and how it's different from what it did before? All right, so what I mean before is tabular processing before was done by, we chunked the entire document. Every row, we treated it as its own bit of information and put it into the workspace. It would take, if you had a big document, you guys may have seen, it would take 20, 30 minutes to process a CSV or an Excel file. And then when you ask questions, it was searching on that document. So it was still good at searching, finding a very articulate piece of information in that document. But what you couldn't do was say, add up, tell me the total. Imagine you had 100 rows and you would say, tell me the total of all those rows. It couldn't do that because that was not the purpose. Search is about articulating, digging in and getting a piece of information out. But that kind of action is actually more a database type. You can think of tabular data as almost like portable databases. So what we do now, so you'll want to re-upload all of your tabular files, but it's going to take the schema. It's going to save the schema of all tabs in the document in one record in the AI search index. It'll vectorize that too, so it improves search and stuff like that. But then we're going to reference, whenever you ask a question that's tabular against that kind of file, it uses the schema and then it uses Pandas. We created a plugin, a tabular analysis plugin. We've tested this with a bunch of agencies now. We're getting fantastic feedback on how it runs. We're using Pandas. So again, we're not even generating Python on the fly for you. Like a lot of the existing use cases for tabular analysis was just, this is the tabular data, tell the model what you want, and it tries to figure out what Python to create. So now you have to have runtime environments that are safe and secure, so you don't create Python that could be malicious. We didn't like that method because that just seems scary and wasteful. We're using Pandas. We went through and created a whole bunch of plugins and capabilities using Pandas on teaching it how to interrogate this information and retrieve it back and to continue to iterate on it. So it's essentially, we created our own SQL language and gave it SQL procedures, stored procedures on how to interact with your data, your tabular data. So it's so much better. And now that we have async and asynchronous capabilities, it can continue to run and process it. You can see like that one, it generated 30 queries on the data set to answer your question. That's a good one. Good question. All right, looking back here, tabular document versioning, conversation summaries and export. So we had conversation export. Thank you, Eldon. Eldon Gorsman on the call helped do this export. So you could export one or more conversations. We added the ability for PDFs, and it goes through and does all this jazz. Now, if you look at a conversation too, and up here you'll see also a summary. So the export creates this summary, but you can also create it on your own just to have that for your own. Think of a long conversation. Let's see if any of these don't have it. Another one. There you go. See, this one was never generated. It's never exported. So you can come in here, select the model, generate a summary, and it's going to go through and create a summary of that conversation. That can just be helpful for your own understanding. Maybe you're looking back in time at conversations and it's really big because you've been working together. Imagine you have a multi-user conversation. So we have group conversations, multi-user collaborative conversations coming. Using this then gives you the ability to summarize that entire history. And we're going to show that too. We have a lot to talk about today. I'm like, man, I should have did this for 90 minutes. So agent and action operations. So this is just a way to help improve the viewing of these. So now, you can do card view or list view for your agents and your actions. You can also now just view them. So you can click that and it's not going to come to the edit mode. It's going to allow you to just view the contents of those agents and actions. A lot more straightforward. Something else in here I'm going to show.
And we have a card mode for documents coming as well.
Oh, yeah. Something for global, it's coming, is this ability and actions to enable and disable them. So maybe you want to create them, you make it, but you then don't want everybody to use it right now. So you don't have to delete it. You can just disable it or hide it so it's not there. And this is coming in line with all this other governance stuff too, because the governance is going to apply to these as well. So you can then assign agents globally to a person, to make it rolling out that we want to make it easier. We understand that there's a lot of complexity with these agents. Confusion, some customers know how to do it well. Some users do, some users don't. It's a little scary. How do you support them? So we're investigating how we make that easier to create agents. We created agent templates, but maybe we think there's still a better way to present agents, and maybe organization create them and then have them, assigned to people and groups within the organization. All right, next latest features. Feedback, Redis and Key Vault. So that's in there now, good in there. We have transparency, support menu. So we also have feedback, and we have a feedback menu. So this is within admin. So this is something you can send directly to us. So this is going to come to us. You fill it out. All it's really doing, though, just so you know, it's not some backend API or anything like that you have to worry about unblocking. It's just going to help populate an email, kind of like very similar to the registration. So you can then get this going. It gives us some information about the application and all that kind of stuff. You can send it for a bug request or a feature request. And then let's see, one more support menu as well. So then for your users, it's also important to be able to share with your user population what are the latest features. So under general, there's a new section called support. You enable it, you can actually do enable feedback, which creates this side menu, send feedback. And it looks identical to the other admin one, but you get to control who this goes to. The name and email here are automatically populated because we get that from your user profile. But back here, you can see that this is where the email is sent for that. So you would populate, if you turn it on, add your email there, and it'll create, when they add it, it'll open it up and already have that populated. You can also then show enable latest features. And what this does is just makes it easier on this left-hand menu for users under support to see the latest features. And you get to turn them on and off based on what you've already enabled or not enabled in your application. So that we want to just give you some more control. We also are going to show previous releases too. So we'll just continue to populate this and you'll have control over what that means. And you can come in here, users can see what's going on, a little bit more, some imagery. When we do this, we are removing simple chat terms and stuff with these. So it's more general. So if you're renaming and customizing, branding simple chat, you're not going to see simple chat terminology naming schema within the user focused front end for these. All right, those are all the latest features. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts or anything? I think there's actually one more here that might not be in here. On the token usage, I don't know if we showed this last time, but now on the token usage, you can actually dig into this and then look at individual users as well and filtering on that. All right. Now we're going to show some things that are coming. We looked at this roadmap. We did background threading, all these action conversations. All right, so we have some bug fixes. Mobile, we're going to jump into, since I'm already in control here, we're going to look at a few of these others. So some of the things we're going to look at are, this is around more capabilities. So let's look at some actions. I just want to show some new things that are in here.
Public should be available in your 239 already. You just have to enable it.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you go, let me share my screen. So if you go to app settings, and go to workspaces.
Yeah, we'll have to remember to beef this up next time.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Let's go to workspaces. No, we have personal and group, and then there's a public. So you just enable public. Correct. Yes, Bill.
Correct. But like most features, by default, it's off. So it's something you have to explicitly go in and turn on.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Terrell. If we are currently deploying using the bicep deployment instructions, do you have any guidance on upgrades for new simple chat versions as they become available? The easiest, if you're using bicep, I am creating a PowerShell script as well that will do the upgrade without AZD up or AZD deploy. So it'll require some input. So it's not going to make any assumptions on what exists. Maybe we'll make a config file so you can do it over and over again a little bit easier. But it'll be upgrade dash simple chat PowerShell script within the Azure CLI folder. And we'll document that. Right now, you can do it. It's just a little bit more knowledge. There's some knowledge on how you configure the triggers in Azure Container Registry to update and build a new image when there's a change to the repo. There's a way to do that. I can help you with that. We can find somebody else on the team too, a CSA that can help you, work with you too, Terrell, to make that. So it's almost like an automatic thing. It'll just create the image automatically when we make the new version available in main. It'll automatically start building the image for you. And then you just go in there and select the new image, hit reboot, you're off to the races. So I think that's something, we should document too, to make sure that, that knowledge is shared and more easily accessible. Great question. So we're here in the actions. You're going to see Azure Maps. Yeah, the ability to add maps and evaluate maps and use maps in a conversation. We have document search. So now you can, the agent can search your documents. Now it's still permission based. So it's using your permissions and the APIs within Simple Chat to search your documents. And it can search iteratively till it finds it. It will search across your personal, group, and public workspaces. You can use AZD deploy if you use AZD up. Because AZD up is going to create a config file, an environment file, and stuff like that. You could manually create those, but if you didn't use AZD up to deploy it, AZD deploy doesn't do infrastructure changes. It just runs the post and pre and post config commands. So it might work, but I'm a little hesitant there.
I don't think it will.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I've never tried it though, but
yeah,
I don't think it will without the environment files.
Yeah, but if you have any questions on that, Jonathan, email me and we'll sit and talk through it. Interactive charts. So I'm going to show a chart too. So now you're going to have charts. The same way we have the charts on our control center, you're going to have interactive charts in your conversation. And then we have this other one. We've also beefed up the MS Graph, but then we also have Simple Chat. The Simple Chat one is really cool. And I'm going to go and edit this one right now, edit one that I have. Oh, this is a global one. Let me jump into settings here. So we have the Simple Chat one. You can create groups, add users to groups. It can make groups inactive. So we're actually going to pull that one out because we're going to make a Simple Chat admin one as well. Create multi-user conversations, invite users to conversations, create personal conversations, create and upload documents. Right now, it's just create a markdown document and upload it to a workspace. The goal here is to make it easier with these agentic workflows to start doing more things. And you're like, all right, so that's one of that's Simple Chat, the Simple Chat one, email and calendar we kind of looked at. And then maps. Maps uses Azure Maps, so you just need a key. And let's pull up a conversation here. Let's see if I can find one of these that has. I had it all up, but I've jumped around so much. Oh, here we go. Easy. I should just search pie chart. So we had this conversation with our data. This was an Excel file. And went through and made an interactive pie chart. And the export, when you do export, it turns this into a PNG and saves it in the Word file. So right now, you also have this ability to export messages. I'm doing this. It's a little risky because we were just implementing this. We'll see if it makes the image in here. But the goal is that it will. If it didn't, right? If it doesn't, oh my goodness,
It did.
it didn't. It did. Look at that.
Not 100% perfect.
Yeah, but
Really close.
But it made that image for you as a PNG right in your file right there. But the goal is to make this easier, using this ways, not just do charts, not just tables, but presenting information in unique ways too. Maps. I don't have any for a map. Let's do something. Do I have that? I don't know if I have an agent. So I'm not gonna be able to show maps because just the way a few of this stuff works. I don't want to do the maps just yet. Let's see what else. This one. Oh, multi-user conversations. That's what I'll show here. So let's look at multi-user conversations. Right now, on the left side, you can see this is my admin account. All Microsoft, like Tim Apple. And then on the right is my normal account, which is not an admin.
You want to have me to the conversation? I'll log in the demo.
And we're in this shared conversation. We have multiple participants. And I can just say, hey, if I just say, hey, it's just sending it to the conversation. I can also respond to somebody else's. Then it shows up in their view who it's responding to. We can also add. And when you add, you can pick somebody else, but you can also pick your agents. So you can come in here and then add the agent, and what it's going to do, it's going to now invoke that agent to respond. And you get this nice progress bar. So this is something else we're adding in, this ability to understand what is it doing. So we have thoughts, but we also have things that, like this, progress and stuff like that. Trying to simplify, and not just simplify, but improve your understanding of what is happening so it doesn't feel like a black box. We don't want it to feel like it's just something that's happening, you have no control, and it's just going to eventually do something. There it goes. I'm so great, demos, things working out is amazing. And you can see on mine, it was streaming in. On the other side, they don't see it though until it is complete, but they get to see it as well. They can go through, they can see everything. They can see the thoughts, all that. So they have the permissions to this. Now, with this though, we have different users. I'm an owner. This other person actually on the left is just a normal user. As a normal user, I cannot add more people to the conversation. But as an admin or an owner, I can make that person an admin. So that means now they can add users to the conversation. I can add a participant as well. Now the participant, if we're using a group, I can't add anybody globally to it. They actually have to be a member of the group. And when you get added, everybody gets informed that there's stuff going, oh, look at that, amazing. We did not script that, thanks, Nathaniel. And so now we have this just really collaborative space. You can also add we added GPT, so you can also add your models. Then this one here is direct to the model. It's going to answer that, and return back information stuff too. So this is how you interact with each other and just send messages, bring in agents in there. You can select your workspace. And when you do that, it's automatically going to send that to a model for you, all that kind of stuff. But it's locking the space again down to a specific group. This is around ensuring that everybody's on the same page, that you can't introduce data that the people in that group don't have permission to, and everything like that. So this is coming. Look at that, the snark agent. is brought in too. So, this is coming, this isn't super far down the line. You can see it's already running quite well. Some of the things around all this stuff that we're, just evaluating is performance and scale and stuff like that. All right, one more thing we're going to show here. Exhaustive. I'm going to do one more exhaustive review. So if we open up our workspace, over on the right-hand side, we have actions. Search is like the normal one. That's one we all used to. Now we have exhaustive and compare. So exhaustive, let's just pick a document here. Let's pick cube. Try to have a bug. And what it's going to do, it's going to evaluate every part of the document. It's no longer searching. It's going to take this question and look at every single part. It breaks it into smaller windows. You can see these windows and how many chunks. Right now, you get to define when you create this, how many the window is. Right now, the default is 20 pages, essentially. It'll process them in each of those windows and just keep going until they're all done. So it might take a while. We're not going to show this one because, again, it could take 5-8 minutes to process. You can also do compare documents. So if you have, see, now we've picked these documents. We have our left document and our right document. How are we going to compare these documents on, how does document A affect document B? The first thing that comes to mind here is security. You get a new control or a new LOB directive or something like that, or a new NIST 853 Rev 6 comes out. How does that affect my SSP? It's going to go through and iterate and quantitatively analyze every piece of data on the left side against the right side and tell you, what the differences are. Think of version A, version 2 of the same document, that kind of stuff. Right, so that's exhaustive. You can see it's going to review. It's going to do its thing. We can come back to this afterwards, and it's going to let us know because we have that background processing. Now, one more thing here. The next thing, in piecing all this together, this is all great, but how can you use it? That's why I was over this one. In more, capabilities, in more ways. We have this new capability coming called workflows. And a workflow allows you to use either a model or an agent, and then you have a task. And this is what you're telling it what to do. And then you have the ability to do standard or exhaustive reviews. Again, so you can add this exhaustive review to this workflow so it does it every time. Or you can do document comparisons and stuff like that too. So imagine if you have documents that could potentially be updated into a workspace because you have file sync. And it's something that gets updated every day. You can have it run 20 minutes after you know it exists and analyze and do that work on it. Or you just use standard. You can select your agent. Then you can do a pop-up. This here lets you know when it's done, if it does exactly what you said it do you want to be informed and stuff like that. We're going to do that. And then we have right now manual and schedule-based triggers. So I'm just going to run this one. So now this is running. What this one actually is doing, it's looking at my emails. So we're using an agent right now, in agent mode. We're using this executive agent. This executive agent has access to my emails. It has access to a storage account. So we can see it has access to a bunch of things. We're going to select activity. Now we can, oh, that already ran. It's done. Oh, no, this one's running. That was previous. So we can see here, it's actually, this is what it's doing. I'll try to zoom this out a little bit. So it's going to go through and you get to see all the activities, everything. This is like thoughts on steroids. It's going to go through letting you know what's happening, when it creates new plugins, when it's searching documents, what documents it searched, what is it doing right now. And the goal is to let you know what it's doing, that it's doing something. If eventually you may not need to come in here, but it's important to understand when it is doing something. So hey, the thing I asked to do is actually happening. It completed, right now it's doing its thing. We'll see if it actually triggers an alert. And not all of them always trigger alerts because maybe it didn't actually see anything in my email and stuff like that. Because it also has access to email. It can mark emails as read. So it already processed it. So it doesn't keep triggering on the same thing over and over again. It has ability to open calendars. Oh, there we go. So it did find something. It lets us know what it did, the type of alert, some more details. We can see the workflow or the conversation. So you can actually make it, because I had the simple chat capability there, it can create conversations.
And create meeting invites.
Yeah, so this here is just a personal one. So it wasn't elevated to the ability to multi-user, so we didn't have to pull other people in. But it created, here's this background, and then it processed it and told us what it found and stuff like that. So now we have this conversation. We can then investigate some more. We can bring up our other agents, interrogate, our email, or maybe we bring up our SIEM agent or anything like that to then search across our SIEM. And then we have this new area down here on the left called workflows. The workflow is the history of that agent, of that workflow run as well. So you can go through here and see everything it did. It's a lot. So that's why it's down there. These can be set up so they're hidden, so they're not always showing up. So they, by default, they can just be hidden. So you're not, having to always see them down here, because honestly, it's just the background kind of menial things, but we think it's important to collect it. So again, it's not a black box, how this stuff happened. So that is workflows. So all this stuff, it's coming. You can see it's all right now. If we bring up the repo, and I'm going to go to the repo. So if you are deploying Simple Chat today, you use GitHub Desktop, you can, you come over here where it says main and search multi and select this multi-user conversation. And now you're on this branch. Or locally within VS Code, I'll open up here, and this is GitHub's GitHub Desktop. Select, it's normally on main or something like that. Pick, multi-user, select it, do a fetch origin. It's going to pull it down. It's going to sync it. You open up VS Code. You'll see it down here in the bottom left. Now it's that. You can then deploy it. Right-click deploy if you do it that way, or AZD up or AZD deploy. Just make sure you have your development environment selected when you do AZD deploy, or you're using the ACR connection to the repo, and then you can, instead of selecting the main branch, to find the main branch in the ACR build, you select the feature multi-user combo branch. And then that'll give you all these capabilities we've seen here. So if you deploy and test it out, please let us know. That some of the things we're looking at investigating are scale and performance. If it's fixable by just having more app services instances today, I think that's acceptable to roll that out to, from 5 to 10 to 15 to support your user population. If there's something else where you have to start moving some of these capabilities to another app service as an external compute stack, then that's what we're looking at as well. All right, does anybody have any questions? Any thoughts? We're going to jump into Nathaniel's got a few things he's going to share as well. Let's see what we got here. Fun fact, Teams. Feels like Teams. So, the goal wasn't to replace Teams and use it as a communication service. The goal is a collaborative location for the data and stuff like that. Now, we do have integration with Teams in that you can have a Teams app and it interact with Simple Chat. I got to get that merged in there. I don't know if Ed Clark is on the call. I'm sorry, I'm behind on that. But we have that capability where you can have a Teams app and interact with Simple Chat. Now, it's not as complex as the UI for Simple Chat, but it allows you to search your documents and ask questions on it and stuff like that. And that's a great one too, Carol. The enterprise app. So yeah, some organizations, if you have the admin role and you log into Simple Chat the first time, you can consent for the entire organization. But other times you may need that's been disallowed, or there's a policy in place that prevents that. So you can go to the enterprise app and select that so every user doesn't have to do it on their own. Great. Thanks for sharing that, Carol. That's great.
For any of you who have tried to use Simple Chat on your mobile devices, especially phones or portrait formatted screens, you will probably be aware it hasn't been the greatest experience. So one thing we've been working on is we have been working on improving the overall experience in portrait or mobile devices. This is what your basic screen would look like, or at least this is our proof of concept we're working on. Anybody wants to give feedback or anything else like that, we're more than open to it. So you can see we have this hide navigation button over here. Most of your tools are centralized down into the tools button, right? You click that, it pops up with your various different things. If you click agents, right, it switches down to agents. You can enable your prompts, your workspaces, right? So if you pop open workspaces, it's going to come over here. So all of the same tools are all available here, but in a much more mobile focused UI experience. And then when you switch back over to your desktop, right, same exact thing, only what you would come to love and expect still from your simple chat instance. So the mobile support is coming. We also have several bug fixes that are coming with that. I know we've had some people with some issues with activity logging and things like that. We have some defensive bug fixes coming in for that stuff as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Nathaniel. And man, we got through all that. That's incredible. We didn't need 90 minutes, which is good for all of us. The next call, June 11th, I'm going to share my screen again just to go over a few things. The timeline, again, the timeline of features coming out, search API, that was in there. That's that plugin, document comparisons, more tutorials, information, Copilot integration. We have that. Again, that's something that's kind of been previewed, working through internally. The goal is to get that well defined from a deployment and integration perspective. So the documentation's there. It's really, I think, where we're at right now. Assigned knowledge, that's something else that's coming. I didn't get to show up today. That may get pushed. That's probably going to get pushed. Assigned knowledge, though, is our ability for give an agent explicit knowledge from one or more workspaces, one or more documents. So it can only use that knowledge. You can't pick other documents to ask and interrogate it. It can only use what it's been told to use. That's good. You might be like, why would you do that? The other reason for that is like, hey, you want an agent that just does stuff for ServiceNow. You don't want the users to have to select the ServiceNow repo or workspace to be able to answer that. You can have then ServiceNow documents and material in a public workspace or something like that. And it can then use that explicitly. So when they ask a question, it knows exactly how to answer it. And it's not searching across everything. Workflows and then group chat. Down the line, workspace are these syncs. File sync, that's going to go to NFS shares, SMB shares, but also looking at Google workspaces and stuff like that to be able to, again, leverage that data set in simple chat and keep it live and stuff. So those will probably are going to leverage our new external apps capability. So it's not all running within the single app. All right, and then our next call, June 11th. We'll make sure we get an invite out on that. We will update this with the recording, and then I will also send out a follow-up email to this to everybody with a link to this recording as well, and everything. So I really appreciate everybody's time today. Hope you had enjoyed what we shared. Please stay in touch with us. If you have any questions or anything like that, please never hesitate. We enjoy it. We enjoy working with you. At the end, can you show document tagging? Oh, yeah. Let's do that real quick. Jump into document tagging. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right, so under tags here, so in your workspace, we have two views. We have lists and grid. So grid is going to be the one that's going to really show the grouping of your documents. Let me use a different one. So you can see all these documents, in these groups, and you can click on, you can, articulate down into them. So you can manage your tags. These are all the tags that exist. You can add new ones really easily, change the color, all that kind of stuff, add it in. Yep. You can edit them and everything. And then once they're in here, you have to do it from the list view. You can do select and then select multiple documents and then select tag assignment and then pick the tag and then apply it to them. And it's going to go through, assign those selected documents with that tag.
Do you have a group workspace with tags in it right now? Demo the cross workspace tagging display in the chat.
I think so. Yeah. And then also, if you just open your documents here in this view, you can also see this. You can also like edit metadata, so you can manage tags from this view as well and assign it explicitly to just that document. So there's a few ways to get those tags in there. And then you're over here. Now you can also chat with these documents. So you can select chat, and it's going to select those documents to have a conversation with. So it's going to make it searchable essentially with just those. So it's just an easier way to kind of keep groups of things and stuff like that.
What version is this on?
So this is
tagging was 239, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's 239, but definitely in the latest version, if you have 241006, you'll be able to do that. And you can go through and select multiple there to do that. Again, when we do file sync, we're going to add the ability to automatically tag those files a little bit easier and cleaner. And if you upload and do version 2, it'll carry those tags over so you don't have to keep re-tagging.
Also, Jonathan, just to note, the tagging of multiple documents at the same time, depending on which method you go in through, can only be done in the list view. It cannot currently be done in the grid view. So
that's fair.
Keep that in mind as well.
And then also in chat, I'll go back to chat. If you're in the workspace and you have a personal group that has a document, like this one is more. I believe this is the right one. Nope. But if you share the same, let me go over to groups. We'll just do something real quick. So we have more test. Let me see if I have a test one in personal. I don't. Let's just make one. So I'm going to go through and edit this one. Let's rename it. Test. Save it. Of course, it's the dev version, so I'm like, let's just make a new one.
To add on to what Jonathan said, Terrell, it's not just the admin setting that needs to be enabled. You also actually have to define the role on the apps or on the app registration itself in order for that create groups to take effect. So you need both the role on the app registration as well as to enable the setting in the admin settings.
Yeah. If you have any questions on that, let's hop on a call and talk through it. So here's the test tag. It actually, since we don't want you to have to select that multiple times, so it groups all test tags across the workspaces you have access to. So when you select it, it actually then filters across the groups. So you can see public has a test tag, this group has a test tag, and personal has a test tag. So you will then search across all those, or you can still then search down by just selecting a few.
Bill wants you to talk about auto tagging.
Yeah, auto tagging. So auto tagging is going to be associated with syncing. So, and I can expect, like you have a sync to you have a file share. That file share is called My Amazing Documents. When it syncs it up, it's just going to sync the documents, but you can have it so it tags anything coming out of there with My Amazing Documents. So then when you go to your workspace, you'll see a grid view here called My Amazing Documents. So you'll know that data is associated with those documents down there. There'll be some other notifications in here just showing that the document is a synced document as well. We'll have some tags in here showing that's a synced document, not something that was manually uploaded to help. But, because we use a flat structure, we don't do hierarchy. There is no hierarchical storage here. And that's intentional for speed, performance, and then also understanding where permissions exist and all that kind of stuff.
If you're interested in something like a bulk tag system, reach out to us. Mm-hmm. We'll talk and work with you.
Yeah. I think the syncing could help solve that. If you already uploaded a lot of documents, then you can come through and do select, and then select them. We don't have a select all or anything like that just yet. So maybe there's some things we could do with searching, might be able to search, but if this experience could be better, then that's something we'll investigate some time too. Yeah, the bulk document import, that is something on our timeline here. Looking, late May, 4 to 6 weeks is what I'm thinking. We will have a branch that supports it before then. So we'll let you know if anybody's interested in participating in those kind of development spaces and those testing those features. That helps us a lot. That helps you so we can work through those bugs before it's pushed through. And it gives you the ability to, provide input and feedback on how those features look and operate. But it'll be a file sync. It'll be a separate app you have to deploy. So all that compute and, those things aren't overloading people just trying to chat with documents and run their agents and stuff like that. It'll be something separate. You'll deploy it. You'll go into the UI. We try to make things as simple as possible. You'll then point it to that app, and then you have that capability. And it'll just, a user will go into their workspace like this, and there'll be a new thing over on the right-hand side called Your Syncs or Syncs. You'll go in and you'll create a new connection. You'll give your credentials. You'll give the UNC path, and then you'll test it, and then you can select your tagging and stuff like that. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that'd be great, Bill. Yeah, let's talk through that. And something else, like this file sync is also we've had requests from users that are like generate documents every day, logs or certain types of things that they need to share with the team. They want other people to be able to have insight into. And it gets created and it's saved. They already have a workflow that runs on a computer that's using PowerShell that outputs some kind of file. They were interested in having an API as part of that to just upload it into Simple Chat. But I think this file sync simplifies that. They can keep their existing workflow, just making that file in that folder, and then you just add that sync. That file gets synced in up to Simple Chat, added to the workspace, a group workspace, and now the team has access and can chat it with it in real time. And you didn't have to change or modify your workflow to do that. So I think that kind of stuff can help. And I can see that too, Bill, with that kind of thing, getting a dump of documents or something like that. It'll just get uploaded into Simple Chat, and then they can start tagging it and then sharing it out or maybe making it part of a group and stuff like that too. Yeah, document copies. Yeah, we definitely are, trying to prevent those and all that kind of stuff too, for sure. Awesome. It was a good one today. I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time, feedback, advice. Keep it up. Stay in touch. Foundry IQ scheduled updates. It'll be something like that. Yeah, it'll be similar. It's an analogous feature. Cool. Thanks all. Have a great day. We appreciate you.